Hi, and welcome to Rise, Heal, and Grow. I'm Leah M. Hill. This show is a podcast production of Apollo Sunrise Center, which is a health, wellness, and spiritual retreat center in Merrimack, Massachusetts. On this show, we shine the light on those who nurture wellness and inspire positive change. My guest today is Lorie Callahan of Energy Center Alignment in Melrose, Massachusetts. Hi, Lorie.
Hi there, how are you?
Good, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'm glad you were able to make it here today.
Me too.
So I want to learn all about your work and what you do because I don't know you. We've just met recently, and I want to hear, I know you have lots of different, expertise and modality and experiences, but where did this journey start for you?
Oh goodness. I would say about 10 years ago, I ended up getting injured right after I had my kids.
Oh.
And after I had my kids, I was in a lot of pain, and I went to the doctor, and I had to first convince them that I was in pain because this was in the height of the opioid epidemic. Sorry.
Oh. And they didn't want to give you anything.
No, so
wow.
everybody, like I said, I had back pain, and everybody was going to the doctor saying, "Ooh, I have back pain," and they were trying to get pills. So I had to really advocate for myself. And I kept just being like, no, you have to help me. So after an MRI, they were like, oh, you actually do have issues.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
wow.
I did everything that my doctor told me to. I got injections of cortisone in my spine. I did physical therapy.
Right.
I was on Vicodin for about 5 years.
Oh my goodness.
And they were trying to urge me to do a back surgery, and I really didn't want to do that.
Right.
So at that point, my doctor was like, well, this is your new normal. We're just going to do pain management, increase your meds. And
that's it.
That was it. It wasn't acceptable to me because I had 2 little kids at home.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't even lift them. I couldn't even pick them up.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So that's when I started asking my doctor, I'm like, well, how about, can I try a chiropractor? And he was like, we can't advocate for that because it's not Western medicine. Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, because I remember my father growing up went to a chiropractor and had amazing results. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
And when I went to the chiropractor, I started feeling a little bit better, and I felt enough better that I was able to incorporate like physical activity. I got a personal trainer, and then with the personal trainer, I started feeling even a little more better. And then I was like, well, what else does Eastern medicine have to offer?
Yeah.
So.
Wow. So that started you on this journey. But even during this time, how could you manage with young children? You had 2 young children at the time that you couldn't even lift, like you said. I mean, how did you even do that or cope?
I don't know. I can't even remember. I was in such like a haze that time in my life. I was on autopilot. Every day I kept thinking, just don't let the tiny little humans, anything happen to the tiny little humans. I wasn't even thinking about myself, but it was a challenge because the town that I live in, there's a lot of places that don't have wheelchair accessible ramps.
Oh, sure.
Including my pediatrician's office. So I had 2 baby seats that I couldn't lift because each baby seat was about 20, 25 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
So, and if you have young children, you have to keep going to the doctor every like 3 weeks and 4 weeks and 5 weeks. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. I would get there and I would call inside and I'm like, can someone come out and help me like carry a baby? And they're like, we're really busy. We can't keep coming out and helping you carry your babies.
Oh my God.
So it was, it was awful.
That sounds awful. I cannot imagine how you even got through that time.
Another kind of interesting thing I remember, going to the supermarket was such a challenge because I would take one baby seat and put it in the carriage, and I would have to have the other baby seat. Like, what am I going to do with 2 baby seats? So I would put one child who was already 1 at the time and, put his little feet in there, and the other one would be in the carriage. But I remember after I would leave the supermarket, it's like I got to put these kids in the car, and I felt terrible that I couldn't push the cart to like the cart return. So after that, I remember being like, I will never judge another human being for not returning the cart.
Oh, I totally get that.
Because you don't know what they're going through.
Right, yes, I know, because I feel like even if I don't put that cart exactly into the holder, you know, if I even put it nearby, I feel like who's watching me? I might be judged right now because I'm not returning the cart the way
I know.
that I should.
And it's
but
like,
yeah,
well, she's not parking in a handicap. She has every capability of, you know, you don't know what someone's going through.
Exactly. It's sort of like when people talk about how they, you know, they've known people that treat the wait staff bad in a restaurant, but then when they get the job and they're in the restaurant working as the wait staff, then it makes a whole, you know, gives you a whole different perspective.
Yeah, and that also helped me have a lot of empathy towards customers or clients, because you never know what someone's going through.
Exactly.
Just because they look like they're not in pain doesn't mean that they're not.
That sounds excruciating. And then did you have like a breaking point that really, you know, led you to the sound healing or led you to it?
Well, luckily this all happened during COVID. So I had a lot of time at home to just spend with the kids, and I had a lot of time to be on the internet. And the way I found sound healing was I was on Facebook and I was watching these like little shorts and videos, and I came across one about frequencies and vibrations, and I was just like, that is the coolest thing ever. And that's kind of what started it. And then I'm like, well, what other videos? And, you know, sound healing history. And
so it was just something you caught at the right time.
It wasn't like I went and experienced the sound healing. The history drew me in, and I wanted to learn more.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Like what exactly it is. And you know, we're maybe getting more familiar with sound healing nowadays. It's becoming much more popular, but I don't think a lot of people know the history of it.
Yeah, so what I explain to all the clients when they come in, I always ask, do you know anything about sound healing? And it's usually, I know a little bit, I've heard of it, but I'm not really sure. So I love to explain to people that essentially what sound healing is there's two parts. There's the meditation part of it, because it is a meditative, assisted meditation practice, but it's also, you got the vibrations and the frequencies that go through your body and align your chakras, and basically they go down to a cellular level. And the way that works is, when we're all made up of atoms. And what are atoms? Atoms are essentially vibrating matter. We're all vibrating matter. Everything is vibrating matter, including our cells and our chakras, which are the energy centers in our body.
Right. So that's like what Einstein said, right? With matter is energy. It's like the matter that we are is actually energy.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Okay.
And I love that quote, but my favorite quote is the one by Tesla. If you want to understand the universe, you have to know vibrations and frequencies.
Yes,
I love that.
Yes, I do too. Right. Yes, that makes sense. Okay, so just so that we can all make sure we're clear on what it is.
So essentially, when you're born, all your energy centers are vibrating at the proper frequency. But when things happen in life that shouldn't, like pollution in the air or 5G from the cell phones, or even addictive substances that we probably shouldn't be doing, but we do anyway, what happens is your energy centers either slow down and become underactive, or speed up and become overactive. Or if they've been like that for so long, they can even get a blockage. But I can help line those chakras through a process called entrainment. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I think so. Is that when like your body is matching, or your cells are matching the frequency? Exactly. From what I understood. Okay.
So for people that aren't familiar with that, it's kind of like back in the day when they used to have those old grandfather clock stores, and you walk in and they're all ticking in unison. Yeah. And then I like to say, and then you go outside and you find a little cricket, and you throw the cricket in the clock store, and all of a sudden it starts chirping along with the ticking.
I didn't know it would do that.
Yeah, that's entrainment.
I did not know that.
So like if you look at those big beautiful
example, that's awesome.
So the way I do it, I don't use crickets or grandfather clocks.
Right.
But the way I do it is, if you take a bowl, like a sound bowl, and you start playing like the root chakra bowl. If you start playing that root chakra bowl, your root chakra will shift to that frequency, and that's how it aligns all your chakras.
Wow. That is fascinating. Thank you for explaining it that way, because I've had it explained to me in many different ways before, but that visual that you shared of walking into the clock store is great. I love that. So that led you, because it goes concurrent with meditation, as you mentioned, that led you to now become a meditator as well, right? You were not Before discovering sound healing, you were not.
Before I discovered sound healing, I had no idea what meditation even was, to be honest.
Really?
Oh,
okay.
yes.
No experience with it. Because this is interesting because, some people find the sound healing work through other modalities or other things. But for you, this was totally new.
It was completely new.
Yeah.
And, my entire life, people have said to me, you know what, you should try meditation. But honestly, I was so stuck in like a victim mentality my whole life.
Oh.
Because, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why should I try to meditate? Because meditation is, it's going to calm me down. It's going to clear my mind. I didn't want to have my mind cleared because when I stopped thinking, it's like, I'm going to just sit there and think about all the bad things that have happened to me.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Or
yes.
like it's going to help you be grateful. It's like, I don't want to be grateful. I'm a good person and, bad things keep happening to me. So I refused to learn how to meditate my entire life.
Wow, that is fascinating. But I totally get that. Like if someone's not familiar with meditation or resistant to it because of those reasons, like you said, like, oh, I don't want it to empty my thoughts because then I'm sitting here with myself,
My thoughts.
My thoughts.
Exactly.
Exactly, right. Oh my gosh. And it makes me think of, people I know that worked, at a job for, let's say, 30, 40 years, and then they retire. And then it's like they're home and all they're doing is thinking about themselves and their problem because they're not distracted by the work anymore. And
I always thought meditation was for happy people. Like you see these movies and you got these people who are at peace and they're meditating and I'm like, I have nothing, I have nothing in common.
Yes.
So yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that set you on a journey of seeking out meditation and becoming lowering that resistance.
It was actually really funny. So I took all my classes and I got certified. It took months and a lot of money and I got all my certifications, the sound bowls, the tuning forks, I got everything. And so my husband was like, okay, so you're ready to go out and charge people? And I'm like, no. I'm like, there's so much more I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, for example, they say that sound healing is assisted meditation. I don't even know what meditation is.
Right. Oh my gosh.
So then I was on a journey to figure out what is meditation, and that was so funny.
Oh my gosh. I can imagine just from what you've shared so far about your resistance to it and what you expected it to be.
Yes. So what I ended up doing was I took a second, a weekend retreat. This was another class, and it was completely different from the first class because that was a lot more scientific. This was a lot more Native American, Mesoamerican. But I asked the instructor, I said, I raised my hand and I'm like, can you tell me what is meditation and how do I know I'm meditating? And he looked at me like a deer in headlights. And you could tell no one asked him that question before, and he didn't know.
No one ever asked it. Oh my gosh.
You could tell he didn't know how to answer it, and he gave me this answer kind of like, you'll know, it's different for everybody.
You just know what
You'll
it is,
just
right?
know.
Yeah.
And I'm just
That's hard.
nodding, going, he doesn't know.
Right.
But then he said he was telling the class, we're all going to go on a little field trip to this Buddhist temple. And I was like, oh, this is amazing because that's all they do is meditate.
Right.
They'll definitely be able to have an answer for me.
Right.
So we went there, and the person in charge, who was a lama, they weren't a monk, they were a lama, was not there, but the second in charge, who has lived there for 10 years and worked with them, he was there taking care of the place. And when we went in there again, I raised my hand and I asked the question, and I said, can you tell me what is meditation and how do I know if I'm meditating? And again, I get this blank stare.
No, even
Yes.
in the Buddhist temple. Oh my gosh, they should know.
And so he started telling me everything that they do to meditate. He was putting on these mantras, and he was
the process and all that stuff.
He was playing the mantras and being like, we recite this every time, 3 times a day, and I'm nodding, going, he's not explaining.
It's like your logical mind really needed that definition, really needed that answer.
Well, because, you know what? So the other thing I failed to mention, before I took that class, I went and I tried to do a meditation. Oh. I was Googling, I'm assisted meditation, and I pulled up a 60-minute meditation, and I couldn't sit lotus style because of my back pain.
Right.
So I laid down, and I'm listening, to the guided meditation, and it was, picture yourself on a beach.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I wake up 2 hours later.
Oh my gosh. So you don't even know what it was like. You didn't even experience it.
I woke up and I'm like, you know what? I don't know what meditation is, but I know that wasn't it.
Right.
So so then I took the class, and so after the after the Buddhist place, I went home and I was like, okay, I'm not playing around anymore. I'm going to the source. I'm going to Google. And I typed in, I'm like, what is meditation? And you would not believe it, that when I Googled meditation, there was no definition. It even said, there's really no active, and I'm like, am I being punked here?
I'm kidding. Oh my God.
Google couldn't even answer
I'm going to try that. I'm going to check this out later and Google it myself. Hopefully you wrote a definition that maybe is on there.
Well, so the last thing I'm going to say is I ended up doing independent study, and it was crazy. I was looking, I was researching alpha, beta, theta brainwaves and how it works and how people feel. So eventually, like, there was something in my life that I didn't even realize I was meditating. All these years, I didn't even realize it. But when I read this, I'm like, I think I'm meditating. So I went back to the Buddhist temple, and I spoke to the Lama, because he was there that time. And I said, the last time I was here, I asked about meditation, and nobody can answer me what it was, but I think I'm doing it. And when I explained to him what it was, he smiled, and he goes, that's exactly what meditation is.
That's what it was.
Now I have an answer for people.
And that the first person who didn't answer your question was kind of like, you'll know it, like when you get it, and you eventually did find out what it was. But that is fantastic. So do you have your own definition of it now? I can't wait to hear this.
I do. So I kind of figured out my own definition of meditation, and I got it confirmed by the Lama.
Oh, good.
So I basically told him, I said, listen, there's a time in the morning when I first get up in the morning and I hit my snooze alarm and I go back to bed and I pull the covers on me, and I'm just laying there, and I'm not quite awake, and I'm not quite asleep, but my mind is quiet, and sometimes I hear these really fantastic, like, I don't know what it is, like a higher power type, like I usually would tell my sister, I'm like, I think my angels are talking to me, and she's like, what do you mean your angels are talking? I'm like, I don't know what voice is in my head, but it's way smarter than I am. So yeah, I always tell clients it's that place where you're not quite awake and you're not quite asleep, but it's quieting the mind, and that's what meditation is for everybody that doesn't know.
Oh, that's so helpful, and I bet it's helpful for all those people who are feeling now the way you were back then originally, with so resistant to what it is. And I always tell, I've been a meditator for, I don't know, most of my life, I think. And I don't think I knew I was meditating either early on. I think I was just doing it for whatever reason. And then eventually I think my intuition opened up more and more as I got more comfortable with it. But yeah, it's really interesting, but I also think it's different for everybody, which is probably why it's so hard to define.
That could be it.
That could be it, because it's a different experience. Some people cannot meditate in a quiet room. Some people, like your example, cannot meditate in the lotus position. They have to. I usually just sit in a chair. I have a chair that I like to, I'm not in the lotus position because that's hard for me too, to stay in for an extended period of time. And some people need music. Some people need the ocean waves, so I think it's much more inviting for people to know that there is no one way, like this is you're meditating or you're not, this is it.
No, you're right. And that's why when I talk about sound healing, I always tell people it's assisted meditation. It's not guided meditation, because guided meditation is like what I said, picture yourself by the ocean.
Yeah.
That's where someone guides you into it.
Okay.
This is assisted meditation because the frequencies and the sounds and the instruments help you meditate.
That's the key. Okay. All right, so that's the key that people need to know, is the connection between the sound healing that you're doing and helping them get into that meditative state. And it doesn't mean that they're going to be hearing from their angels or everything. It could be, right? But, I don't want people to feel like, oh no, what's this, what's this voice I'm hearing? But it's deeply healing. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that. Like what kind of healing can people expect from this experience?
It's interesting because I like to tell people everybody's different and every body is different.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I never know what to expect at the end of a session.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you, every single person tells me something different. Some people tell me that they feel energy like kind of flowing in their body. Other people tell me they see colors, almost like the aurora borealis floating in their head with purples and greens dancing around.
Yep, yep.
Some people tell me that they feel almost like weightless, like they feel like they're floating.
Yeah.
There's so many benefits. Like people will text me later and say, you know what, I usually can't sleep throughout the night, but this was the first night in years I was able to sleep the entire night.
Wow.
Yeah, I had one woman, I had one woman tell me who had chronic back pain, kind of like myself, and she told me this was better than any massage she's ever done.
Wow.
So she told me she didn't feel back pain for the first time in 5 years for like 3 days after a session.
Oh my goodness. Wow. So that is her cells, like you explained earlier, the cells of her body, and in that entrainment process, aligning to the frequency and combining it with the meditative state that she's in because she's listening to the sound healing, right? It just all aligned her to live without pain, at least for a few days?
Well, yes, absolutely. But like scientists right now are studying vibrations and frequencies and finding all the vast like benefits of frequencies. So like one of my favorite studies actually, and I have this on my website there's a little tab that says like science research or something. So there's a TED talk about these scientists from Canada who worked with 40 hertz. Now, 40 hertz is a very low vibration.
Okay.
And they did it with patients who had both Alzheimer's as well as fibromyalgia. And they found out two things, that with the Alzheimer's patients, that it helped with cognitive recognition.
Okay.
That it just helped them with their memory.
Okay.
And with the people with fibromyalgia, it helped them with pain relief. Oh. This is just from 40 hertz.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's so many different frequencies out there that do different things.
Right.
So there is definitely a for pain relief.
Right.
But also, I think it's 128 hertz. I just looked at it before I came here. This woman texted me that she got a tuning fork for like 128 hertz, which helps with pain and inflammation. And she does it on her husband's ankle, and his ankle pain, which he's been having for years, is finally like letting up.
Oh, wow.
I know. So there is definite pain relief with certain frequencies.
Right. And so when you're working with a client, you're using bowls, crystal bowls, and what instruments are you using?
Oh, I have way too many instruments.
Okay. You have like everything in the room and you kind of pick and choose what's right for the person. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I have so many instruments because I've been doing this for about 10 years. So it's one of those things where family, like every Christmas, look, I got you a shaker. I'm like, cool,
right.
I'll throw it.
You'll use it.
Yeah.
Right. So plus the tuning forks too.
Yes.
And okay.
But I use the chakra frequencies as well as the solfeggio frequencies, and then I use a lot of handmade instruments from so that llama I was telling you about. He has provided me with a bunch of bowls that were handmade in Nepal.
Wow.
So those.
That's very special. Yeah.
It really is. Actually, I have a funny story about that too, if we have time. So I went there one time, and I said, hey, do you have, I texted him, I said, do you have any more bowls? And he's like, yeah, we have a few, come and check them out. And so I went over there and we were talking, and I love the deep frequencies. I think the deep frequencies speak to me.
Deep meaning like the lower, like the 40?
The lower frequencies.
Okay.
Well, like the root chakra and the sacral chakra, rather than the crown chakra, they're high. Like if you think of a piano, how it starts low and you keep going higher and higher.
Right.
That's kind of how the chakras go. They go higher and higher. And by the time
frequency
you get to the crown chakra, it's really like kind of high pitch.
Yeah.
I like the lower pitch. So I was looking for a Tibetan sound bowl that was kind of bigger, that had a nice lower pitch. And so I went there, and he hands me this tiny little bowl. Like this just little bowl. And I put it in my hand, and I'm just looking at it, and I was like, but I wanted a big one.
Yeah.
And he goes, you need that one. And I was like, but I wanted a big one. And he looks at me and he said, do not underestimate the sound that will come out of something small. Like big things come out of little packages.
That's an interesting lesson.
And he was right. Well, I was like, okay, well, I got to get this one because he told me I need it. So I brought it back. And when I was playing it, it was insanely loud. So it's funny, I refer to that one as the voice of God. Oh. Because there's tales that say if you were to hear God's true voice, and that's why he sends angels, that it would be so loud that we wouldn't be able to handle it. So this tiny little bowl is my most powerful.
That's amazing. And I feel like there's something so special too about how it was given to you. That sounds really great. Wow. Yeah. That's fascinating because I know a lot of the other sound healers and sound healings that I've been to, they have the big giant bowls and they're playing them, and some of them might be a low frequency, but they're huge. But I just can't imagine that little tiny pole having that much power.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah, I use it because he told me I needed it, so I do use it, but it's very loud. But that's also why I do what I do, and I like to tell everybody every sound healing experience is different based on basically how they were taught and just like in their heart. So the way I do it is for the first 30 minutes, I play a progression of different variety of instruments to get you into that nice, deep, relaxed, meditative headspace. And that took some how to learn how to meditate. It was interesting.
All right.
But so I get people into that nice, deep, meditative headspace. And then the second 30 minutes, I play a variety of the bowls. And I do have the crystal quartz as well as the Tibetan bowls.
Oh, so you have both.
Yes.
Okay. Right. That's interesting because that would be a totally different vibe to play the quartz versus the metal alloy, right? They're a mixture of different metals in the Tibetan ones. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So so your customers might come to you because they're in pain, right? What other issues? Sleep, you mentioned lack of sleep.
Yes, I have a lot of clients with severe anxiety too.
Okay, so the emotional issues as well.
Gosh,
emotional.
Yes. Yeah, I have a client that is just amazing, and she even wrote a review on my Google review that her pain meds are significantly lowered, and she tells me all the time, "You changed my life." So it's so rewarding.
Wow. And I agree though that not only every practitioner is different, but I think every session is different, right? Because you, the client, are in a different space every time you work with, even if it's the same sound healer that you're going back to time after time. So you might, the first time be like, okay, what's happening? I don't really know what's happening. Kind of like you, like, okay, what's happening? Am I doing it right? Am I really meditating? Am I really benefiting? But then later, that's when you hear from your clients. It sounds like they come back and they say, wow.
Yeah. I mean, in the beginning, I do my general 60-minute session, and then I hear the feedback, and then when they come back the next time, I might change it up a little bit. Like the next time I might use tuning forks, or the next time I might use wah-wah tubes or something like that.
Right. Because you do have, you mentioned the reviews on your website. You have like over 40 excellent reviews, great reviews. And that goes with not only the 10 years that you mentioned of experience, but also I think that you are able to, maybe with all these tools that you have, be able to kind of tailor what that client needs in that moment at that time. You're not just doing the same prescribed protocol every time.
That has a lot to do with it, but it also has to do with just personal touch. I don't rush people. I always tell them, like I book like 30-minute blocks between, and I always tell them, come in 15 minutes early. You can talk to me if you feel like it. Don't feel like you have to grab your shoes and coat and get out afterward.
Oh, that's so important.
So I offer like refreshments. Do you want a cup of tea? You want to sit and talk for a little bit? And I even follow up. Like I had this one client who was, she failed an exam twice, and then she came back and she said, I really want to do well on this exam. Do you think it would help clear my head? And I said, let's try it.
Okay.
I said, you know what? You're still studying. I'm like, just see what happens. Yeah. So she came in to try it, and then she's like, and she had an experience, and she's like, I will be back right before my test. So she made another appointment right before her test. Yeah. And then I texted her like a week later, she messaged me back, and she's like, I passed. So it's that personal touch. I do keep in touch.
Oh, that's great. And, not even maybe helping her clear her head, but just to release that anxiety of taking the test, especially after having not passed it a couple of times before. Then you kind of go into it thinking, oh, how good is this going to be, right?
Yeah, but no, it really is the personal touch, because
that's great.
Like that woman with the tuning fork in her husband's ankle, she, I didn't have to be like, but it's like, no, buy this stuff, go home, use it, heal yourself. Yeah. I think people can really tell when you want to help them.
Right. So. I think so too. That's so important. I've been to different massage therapists, for example, over the years. And when I've gone to those places where they have a lot of different therapists, and you get, maybe a different person every time or something. And I had to stop going because I felt like I was being rushed out. Like you said, you can't, it's like, they're coming back in the room, and I'm like not even ready. Even when I said, I need a few extra minutes to get changed, to get ready, because I can get into a very deep meditative state, even from a massage. And I'm like, I can't just wake up and get, and do
Yeah.
it. And it's like, that's so important to have someone be able to ease back into their life and into their day. So
It's true.
that's where that helps a lot too. Definitely. So, so we talked about the reviews, but you also offer some other modalities too. You mentioned,
Yes.
did we talk about red light therapy? That was the
Not
other
yet.
thing I wanted to talk about. You also offer that.
Yes, so I offer predominantly sound healing. I'm also certified in Reiki, but I don't like to practice it. So I have my friend come in and they'll do the Reiki. They'll lay the hands on while I'm playing the instrument. So you get kind of a double dose of the energy. It's fantastic. I love it.
That sounds great. Yeah.
It really is. And then I also do an add-on of chromotherapy, which is red light therapy, just because everybody loves it. It's so beneficial, not only to the skin layer, but it goes down deeper into the muscle, and it just has a lot of benefits for skin and muscle.
Yeah. Okay. And also, would that help with pain relief too, or is that something different?
It's more, the thing with red light therapy, there's a lot of different opinions.
Okay.
So there's a lot you can and can't say. You can't say it heals this, it doesn't heal that.
Gotcha. Okay.
I would definitely Google because there's a lot of different opinions. People are like, I swear it helped me with this.
Yeah.
But I can't say
Right.
that because.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So, if someone is curious and wants to give this a try, how do people find you? How do they reach out?
Absolutely. The easiest way is just to go right to my website, www.energycenteralignment.com. Also, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and also I highly recommend my YouTube channel. I am spending 2026 starting to upload some fantastic informational videos. 'Cause
Really?
I really love.
I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, I
will
love
check that
just
out.
telling people all about what I know.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here today and
thank you for
sharing what
having
you
me.
do and your experiences, which are really fascinating. And I'm so glad that you're healthy now and mobile and feeling good.
Thank you, me
That's
too.
great. Wow. And thank you, all of you, for watching or listening here today on Rise, Heal, and Grow with Leah M. Hill. Please like, share, and comment and subscribe on whatever platform you're joining us on. And please join us again soon because we have lots more episodes coming up.